All right, we're live on YouTube. Let's get live on Facebook. All right. Here we are again. Well, here we are again. I guess it must be Cher. Somewhere there'll be a thing here. There we are. Hi. Just making sure we're completely live everywhere. I see an empty chair, slightly crooked. And, all right. Hi, Mom. Hi, Mike. There we go. Family's here. That's the right way to start it. All righty. Welcome. Cheers, everybody. It is Monday night. I literally have no idea what night it is. I am there. Yes, I am there. Where's there? I'm both places. I'm on Facebook and I'm on YouTube. Facebook's here, YouTube's here. So whoever wants to talk about whatever, you can watch in either place. And I'm timing the delay. It's about 35 seconds. So that's exciting. Oh, Kevin, Susan, hello. 2 out of 4 people watching are named Susan. Weird statistic, no? My shirt's all bunched up. So today, what do you guys want to talk about? Again, it's always up to you. I plan nothing. So you can put questions in. You can ask stories, jokes, whatever. We'll be here for a half an hour from 7 to 7:30, 10 to 10:30 on the East Coast. And that's it. That's what's happening. So since I can see the delay is really, really slow, I'll wait until you put something in and I'll have a sip of my Tito's and tonic. The hands are very dry again. I've been moisturizing, but I apparently didn't do enough. It's ridiculous. School here is done for the year, they announced today. No more school. Rest of the school year. Well, there'll be online school next week. We're actually on spring break right now. Who knew? But we will be doing the spring break thing. If you are on the YouTube here, make sure I have, do I have the volume up? I don't want the volume up because I don't hear myself. If you're on YouTube, over there, you can write something and I'll say hello first. That way, as people come in. Ray Pepper's here. Welcome, Ray. Your daughter's a senior. What's happened? I mean, she's already into college, right? So you don't have to worry. But I can't imagine like being a senior this year. Like I'm glad Josh is a freshman. I would not have wanted this to happen last year when he was at Highland Middle School because it was so good, and I would have felt like maybe we should just repeat 8th grade and redo it next year. But with his 9th grade year, I mean, I think this is the best year for it to happen. He had a really good first semester. He was doing really well so far, second semester. So I can't complain. It is very sad. I can't imagine being like a spring sport athlete. First, I feel bad for like the winter sports that didn't get to finish. In our state, they did do the state championships for basketball. The school I coached at 5 years ago won the state title this year. So that was exciting. I mean, they went from 2 years before I started, they were 0-20. And then my first year, they had the first winning season in a bunch of years. My second year, they won the Olympic League title. And then the new coach came in, who's much better than me, let's be honest. And he won 5 consecutive section titles, league titles. So 6 in a row now. And then this year they won the state championship. But in states like Pennsylvania, they weren't able to finish the playoffs. And the NCAA basketball, we know. So it is a sad situation. Uh, YouTube, you're looking good. A little bright in that corner over there. In the blue light, you can see. It's interesting how the angles are so different. Here is not so bad. Again, what do you guys want to talk about? What are you drinking tonight? I guess it's cocktail hour. I worked hard in the yard today for a few hours, which is shocking because I usually don't do that. And we have a tree, still parched. My hands are dry. My mouth is dry. But we had a tree that started growing that Josh went, this was probably 7 or 8 years ago. He just stuck a stick right in the ground by this little pond, this little water feature we did years ago. And the stick grew and turned into, it's like the size of a Christmas tree right now. And we wanted to move it. And I was trying to dig it up and, you can't. You just can't dig it up. And then it grew this way. So I fought the tree. And my body's sore, so the tree won. Hopefully the tree takes to its new home in the back of the yard, way in the back of the field. That's what I did today. What did you do today? Comment down below. Let me know. A couple of my friends started doing like comedy shows, like doing stand-up, but it's hard to imagine. I'm gonna look into it. It's hard to imagine what it would be like to do stand-up without an audience. Like musicians are cool because they're getting on, they're jamming, and they can play a song. Paul Stanley I watched earlier today, and Richard Marx is doing stuff, or Rick Springfield. I mean, a lot of people are doing stuff. But for comedy, it's hard because we're used to the instant reaction, and we don't know if it's funny or not. Especially when there's a 45-second delay. That makes it even worse because then people might go LOL, or somebody might click the laugh button, and we're like, what? We have no idea what's actually happening. You walked 8 miles and Kevin worked. That's nice, Susan. Josh tonight is downstairs working on his computer thing of some sort. I'm in the single chair tonight. Josh is like he's like a special guest. We're doing more of that with him. We're not doing this specific Josh and Dan show that I wanted to do. I thought it would be nice. What is Ray Peppers on? Bright side, stock market surge today on news that June is when health clubs, theaters, casino will return. All right. If June is really the time, we could go to school in June. So it makes me think maybe it's not June. But we'll find out. I hope things start to open. And I wonder, like a movie theater, if you think about it, if they spaced it out and staggered, because I haven't been to too many sold out movies in a long time. When I lived in LA, if I went opening weekend, it would be packed. But up here, I feel like now my dog's going to be barking the entire show. Up here, I feel like it's very wide open. Like I've been to a few that are packed, but they could probably do just mark off seats, and you have to sit in a very checkered pattern, and you can only sit beside somebody if they're with you. I don't know. Something like that could work to go to movie. I love the movie experience, and I worry that it's going to go away. I don't know if she'll ever be a special guest on the show. She's not into it. I keep telling her she's a realtor. She should get on here. She should plug her real estate, talk about things. I'm sure at some point, people. Is that Eric? Eric Schemer joined finally. Is this the first time you've joined, Eric? I've done it maybe because I've been doing it so late. Eric, the better half of Eridan, the famous cover band from the 80s, sold over 1 billion albums. 1 billion has joined me. I started stand-up with Eric. Eric was my original comedy partner. And we did a funny thing, which I would love to do at some point, called every episode of Star Trek in under 3 minutes. And we stole it. It was totally hack. It wasn't hack. It was stolen because we thought comedians could do cover jokes the way bands when they're starting to do cover songs. And we found out very quickly that that's frowned upon. So that won't happen. But Eric and I have talked about doing a podcast together for years. We've talked about it. Feels like years. And now that this Zoom technology is here, we can just do it on Zoom and then publish it and grab the audio off of it and send that off to all the podcast plays. So Eric and I might do a weekly podcast. We don't know what it'll be about yet. Technology, just this shit we like. That's what it'll be about. It should be called Shit We Like. There probably is one called that already. But in the sitcom that I wrote, the Eric character is based, of course, on the real Eric. There's a lot of truth. I mean, the dad character is completely fictional. My character is slightly fictional. The Leah character is completely fictional. And like I said, I will read the thing. If you guys don't give me I didn't bring it. It's over there. I don't want to get up. So tonight I won't. My mother watched yesterday. Yes, I did see yesterday. Thought it was a wonderful movie. Josh and I saw it, and we both really liked it. It was a really good movie. Who would win in a fight, Herman Munster or Lurch from Adam? Oh, Herman Munster. I mean, he was ridiculously strong. Lurch was just big. I don't know that Lurch was necessarily strong. I think it was funny, though, that Fred Gwynn had to wear shoes with, like, Gene Simmons heels on them, talking to YouTube and Facebook. I always thought that was funny when he had to do both. But still have some people hanging out in the YouTube channel. Also the YouTube channel, I've been uploading a lot of things. The Schmucks TV stuff, a few more new episodes of those will be going live very soon. Cushy Ripples, Game Show Host of the Stars, a mockumentary that I started working on in 1998 or 99. That will be slowly being put up on YouTube. Whenever I have time and I can do creative stuff, it makes time go by like that for me. I mean, literally, I can watch a show and escape in a movie, but when I'm doing this or writing something or editing, it just, the time goes by extremely fast. So I love doing it, and hopefully some people actually watch it and enjoy some of it. The Schmuck stuff is really old. It's from 01 and 04. And some of it's really like, we didn't do any racist stuff, but a lot of sexist stuff that I'm just I'm editing that all out. Way before, I mean, yeah, there were things that we should not have been doing. NFL season, yes or no? Good question. Ray Pepper has a good question from Giggity Gig Harbor. You're not in Gig Harbor. Are you in Gig Harbor? You don't live in Gig Harbor. You live in South Tacoma. Where do you live, Ray? I know you have an office in University Place, right? That's where your car lot is and your real estate office. But where do you actually live? I'm not sure I know. But every time I see Gig Harbor, I'm like, giggity. I do think that there will be an NFL season. I think we'll be back by then. I don't think that the pandemic of 1918 is going to happen now. Because it's not 1918. That's the first reason. And the second reason I don't think it'll happen is because we're going to have a vaccine. I strongly believe I heard Israel is really close to having one. I heard Germany is really close to having one. I heard University of Pittsburgh, go Pitt, is very close to having one. And I also heard that here UW has been testing one. So I think there'll be a vaccine. So if they do see a resurgence, I also think that the antibodies of people getting it are going to keep us from it expanding the same way. We have more technology than we had 100 years ago. So I just think it's not going to be as bad. And I do think that it will be, there will be an NFL football season. That's my hope. And there will be a high school basketball season. That's also my hope. And an NBA and an NCAA. I think it will all be back. I'm just wishful thinking, but what do I know? What do you think? I guess that's the question. What do you think? So what else, people? Yesterday was a movie we've seen, which was great. It was fine that there was no cigarettes or Coke. If you haven't seen the movie, sorry. It's been out long enough, and we're long enough into this that we've mentioned. But yeah, the movie's about, we're talking about yesterday. It's a movie where the guy just everybody forgets who the Beatles are. And the one guy remembers. So he starts performing all their songs and becomes hugely famous because he's doing the best music ever. And there's a point in it where, I won't give this away in case you haven't seen it, but there's literally a point where out loud, I said, "Holy shit," in the theater. It shocked me that much. And if you've seen it, Mom and Susan and Kevin and anyone else who's seen it, can you guess what part that was? I guess we can give it away at this point. Who cares? Ray Pepper wants to say, "Will Bernie Sanders bail out in the next 60 days? To this day, Hillary." Yeah, I think Bernie needs to. I was really intrigued. And again, I don't like to do a lot of political on the show here. But I was really intrigued with the fact that Biden and Trump had a conversation today, and Trump was very mellow about it. And he was very nice about it. I mean, he's yelling at reporters. He's going nuts on the reporters and just saying bullshit stuff. Like, an inspector general. It's like, you hired this inspector general. Like, she was put into place in your administration in 2019. And he said, "Well, when did she start in government?" Well, yeah, she started years ago. She actually started during the Clinton administration. But the actual inspector general has been there since the Bush administration. So, I don't know. Feh, as my grandmother would say. But I think Bernie needs to bail. And I know there's a lot of people that love Bernie. I love Bernie. I think Bernie's a great guy. I think he stands for amazing things. There's a lot of great stuff we could do. I voted for him in 2016. I did not vote for him in 2020. I think Biden is our only shot right now. But honestly, I think Gavin Newsom should be the next president, if there's a way for that to happen. I said that the first time I saw him on TV, and my wife called me sexist. She was like, "You can't say that." Because I said, "He just looks presidential." And she's like, "What, because he's a white guy?" And I'm like, he looks presidential. And now, hey, Jake. Hello, Sherry. But yeah, I think that Bernie needs to just put his entire force behind Biden at this point, because we don't have a choice. Like I've said all along, X, it's a math problem. X is greater than Trump. Vote for X. I don't care if they had a cantaloupe running. I don't care if they had Mitt Romney running. I don't care if they had George Bush or Jeb Bush running right now against Trump. If that was the only choice I had, they would get my vote. Yes, Bob, that is completely true. He is that crazy uncle. Yeah, that's what I don't understand. Like, everybody gets it. Like, at some point, if you're a true Republican, and I've got friends that are conservative friends, if you're truly a Republican and a conservative, why are you not saying, "Yeah, this is batshit crazy. We cannot have him as our nominee. Let's just bring in somebody else"? Like, I don't get it. And I understand people are conservative. I'm not against that. I'm not that conservative, but we agree. And there's people that I've spoken to that are very close to former, like Reagan Republicans, or even Bob Dole Republicans, or Bush Republicans. They can't stand Trump, but there's no way they'd vote for Biden. Biden is more of a Republican than Trump. You have to realize that. And I don't know why people don't think that. Bugs Bunny would get my vote over anyone, Bob Larson. I'll be honest. You could put Bugs Bunny against Barack Obama, and I'm voting for Bugs Bunny. All right? Maybe. Yes, my brother, I do not like the idea that the Navy captain was fired. The reason I don't like the idea that he was fired is because they keep changing the story of why. And he is trying to save all the men on his ship and letting people know that they have COVID-19 on the ship. And now he has it. And they wanted to keep it a secret. Like, "Oh, we can't let people know that there's people in the military." They're humans. Like, you can't worry about the different lives. The show's turning political. I can feel it. Susan and Kevin, you're Reformed Republicans. Again, Kevin and I had this conversation. You can take any political stance, and most people agree. I think the entire country is in this middle 80%. It's the 10% far left, 10% far right. It's the middle. It's the middle that is driving people crazy. And that's where most, I mean, it's the edges that are driving people crazy. There are the far left that think, the government's got to take care of everything. There's the far right that thinks the government takes care of nothing. And Trump is pushing people further to the right of his base, which is actually hurting him because he's not bringing anybody in. I don't know anybody that was for Obama or was for Bush, either one, that was against Trump in 2016 that now is for Trump. Like, he's losing people. People are leaving the Republican Party, which is nuts. I think we should have a two-party system. I think that's the problem too. It's not a binary yes or no. We should have a choice. I mean, every issue you can talk about. Guns, do I think no one thinks the Second Amendment should be appealed. No one. I've heard zero Democrats, zero liberals. No one wants to get rid of it. All they want is background checks, and they want 100 magazine clips. They want to get rid of that. They want semi-automatic weapons to have a ban, like they had from 94 to 04. And we had, how many school shootings happened between 94 and 04 compared to 04 to 14? Let's just do those 2 10-year periods. Look at the numbers. Look at the stats. You don't need that gun, but you can have a gun. Who cares? Even though everybody's misinterpreting, in my opinion, the Second Amendment. That's my opinion. The Second Amendment should be amended. I agree. You can look this up. In the response to the current crisis, with a few prominent exceptions, Ohio, that is true. Republican governors have been slower to. The Republican governors have been much slower to shut down their states than Democratic. The 8 or 9 that are left are all Republican governors. And while, yes, Washington was actually slower than some. And Jay Inslee, our governor, I thought did a good job of treating us like adults. And I feel like that's what the Republican governors are I'm going to defend them for a second. I think that's what they're trying to do, is they're saying, I don't have to tell you guys not to do, not that you have to shut down the entire government. I think what they're saying is, or the entire state, what they're saying is schools are already shut down. We're already telling people you should stay at home. The national message from the postcards that Trump sent everybody is stay at home. But I don't think I have to declare it. Should they? Yes. Should Trump come out and just say, you know what, the whole country just stay home, don't do anything, every business, everything shut down? Yeah, I think it'll slow this down enough that we'll be out of the woods in June. Oh, hi, Beck. There's my wife. She joined us. Yes, Popovich of the Spurs is completely. I think that the race thing, Trump did not bring out. Trump didn't make us a racist country. He just brought out so people can see. I mean, the fact that he said there are Nazis that are good people on both sides, and his grandchildren are Orthodox Jews. Ivanka and Jared are Orthodox Jews, and their children are Orthodox. So his daughter converted, and his kids are Orthodox Jews, and he would say something like that. He only says what's good for his base. He doesn't think. Perfect example. I had a conference call today for work. One of our coworkers lives in Canada, and Trump said 3M is not allowed to export any masks to Canada. So all of the N95 masks can't go to Canada. Guess where 3M gets all the pulp, the proprietary pulp that they use to make those masks? I'll wait for you. I'll give you 3 guesses. First 2 don't count. Canada. So what's Canada going to do? They're going to say, you know what? We can't send you the pulp anymore to make the masks because we need to make them ourselves now. And then 3M can't make masks for anybody. So it's called being short-sighted, which is what my wife said. It was perfect line. I am getting political, I know. Oh, you're letting Charlotte know. I've been trying not to get political on the show, but when I watch these press conferences, or let's call them campaign rallies, he yelled at the media today, telling the guy he's third rate and that this is why he's not going anywhere. This is a guy who's at the top of his game, and the guy called him out for something. They're not treating as adults, for example, idiot George. Yeah, well, Georgia's governor, and again, I'm going to be an equal opportunity because the Democratic mayor of New York said the exact same thing. We just found out 24 hours ago that you could get this even if you don't have symptoms. You could be spreading it. Where was he? I mean, there's no way my son knew that. And that was in February they were talking about. That's the thing that was scary about this was you could show no symptoms and be spreading it. And guess what? That happens with regular colds and the flu too. You might not show symptoms yet and you're already carrying it. I got mononucleosis in 8th grade. How? I have no idea. I wasn't kissing anybody. Somebody had it and they were carrying it. Probably another kid that was a manager who sucked on the water balls, but that's a whole other story. Well, some of them I think are treating us like adults. And that's how I felt Jay Inslee was in our state. He was saying, you guys know the right thing to do, but then there's always assholes that don't do it. And that's why they have to say it. And I think the other 8 governors should just come out and say, you should do it. Bottom line. How come everything about Barron Trump? Barron is, I think the problem with Barron is that they're trying to protect him. First, if you name your kid Barron, when your fake PR guy was named John Barron. Anyway, I think that you don't see him because the other Trump kids are so out there. You also have a first lady that's not out there that much. Because I think if she was, the people that are racist in the Trump base would be like, listen how she talks. And I don't know why I had to do a Southern accent because of a racist. Was that racist? I don't think that's racist. Do Southerners, if you make fun of a Southerner, is that racism? Because the only race I think they have in the South is NASCAR. Thank you. I can't wait for laughing. Trump is college educated, suit and tie wearing rich guy from New York City. That is true. And his base are backwards, uneducated, bib overall rednecks. That is true. And they're the ones that are being hurt the most by his policies. That's what blows my mind, is the people that have Social Security, disability, welfare, food stamps. He's against all of you. And they're voting for him. Like Bernie Sanders should have won in a landslide for every person in every state. Every red state should love Bernie Sanders, but they don't. Because they hear the word socialist and they don't understand we actually live in a socialist country as it is. We have Social Security. We have government mail. We have a banking system that the government is involved in. We have bailouts constantly. We're doing one right now. You're getting $1,200 from the government. That's socialism. Anyway, I have to slow down. 8th grade, I wasn't kissing anyone. Really? I don't think so. I hate to say that. Oh, Dwayne Haggerty, Billy White. That's right. Me and Billy White were for the ladies. Bill was getting all the ladies. You're absolutely right. Billy White actually stole one of my girlfriends. And I don't know that I ever kissed. It's weird that you can have a girlfriend. You're like, hey, we never kissed. But yeah, I remember we were at Billy White's swimming pool and I looked over and they were kissing. I haven't talked to Billy White in years. I wonder how he's doing. His dad was fun. Skip White. I remember his dad sold RVs. Anyway, but Bob Larson says Trump's racism trumps everything else. Oh no, racism trumps everything else. This is going to be controversial to say. Everyone is a little racist. Everyone. And there's a line in a movie called P.S. Your Cat is Dead that my friend co-wrote, where he says something like, everyone's a little gay. He goes, it's like tall. Everyone's a little tall. It's a good line. Is everyone a little racist? Yes. Why? How can I say that? Because everyone believes in some stereotype of somebody. There's not a person out there that in their head, it might not be overt, it might not come out, but in their head, they're like, I'm not going to go into any of them because they're stereotypes, but there are stereotypes that people believe in that Asian people have, or Jewish people have, or black people have, or Hispanic people have, or white people have, or rednecks have. But again, redneck's not race. But even if you're a little short, Susan, you're still a little tall. Because you're taller than everyone else. You're taller than, not everyone else, you're taller than someone. Unless you're the smallest person alive. So that go the other way. Everyone's a little short. Tim Jones, did you just tag Blackhawk High? Is that what just happened? Uh-oh, the show might go longer now. I promised my wife I'd only do a half hour, but as long as people are here, I am a hua for comedy and attention. It's what I do. And since, like I said, I don't have the comedy clubs, I am curious though. My friend Steve Hofstetter is doing this thing called Nowhere Comedy Club. And he's doing, and I want to watch it. I'm going to send him a message tonight. I'm going to see how it's working for him because he's actually selling seats. Like I think he sold 150 seats and it's exclusive, but I don't know how he hears the audience because it's very important to hear the audience. Now I've done a lot of radio, so that kind of helped me not have to hear the audience, but I always had a sidekick or someone that I could bounce off of. And now I don't have that, although I have your comments here. Oh yeah, Blackhawk High School. Were we all white? No, we weren't all white. We had a few people of color. Asian, African American, Hispanic, maybe? Yeah. What's up? There's another old joke. I put a picture up of the 1989-90 Quigley basketball team that was the only team in school history to win a playoff game. I was a 19-year-old JV coach. And somebody said, a lot of diversity you had there. And I was gonna do the old joke. Well, of course we're diverse. We've got tall white kids, we've got short white kids, we've got slow white kids, we had fast white kids, we had older white kids, we had younger white kids. We had all the races. Oh yeah. Blaine Cleckley, Jamar, yeah, The Simpsons, Marvin Farr. When I was in first grade, see, this is why I don't think I've ever, again, everybody's a little racist about, but it's not about an in particular person usually. Once you get to know somebody, you don't see it. I worked at a car dealership called Felix Chevrolet in Los Angeles. I'm going to read your thing in a minute, Mike Menza. It's very long. I worked at a car dealership called Felix Chevrolet in downtown Los Angeles. I was sitting in a sales meeting, and these guys are like family to me. Like I spent so much time with them, because you're there 10, 12 hours a day. Tim Jones, you know what I'm talking about. And I'm sitting in a sales meeting. I looked around the room, and it occurred to me I was the only white guy on the entire team. The other desk manager was Egyptian. Sales manager was Armenian. Finance director at the time was Iranian. We had a couple of black guys, a lot of Hispanic guys. I was the only white guy. And it never occurred to me because these are my pals. These are guys I work with. So I think once you get familiarity, it doesn't matter. So you just have to get to know each other. That's really all it is. So Mike Mendes has got to draw the line for you there. Okay, he's drawing a line. Racism with bigotry, subtle difference. Racism postulates that the race is inferior to another because of their race. Not everyone's a little racist. Bigotry is making certain assumptions about race because of stereotypes. Okay, everyone's a little bigoted then. It's a fine line, Menza. Very fine line. But yeah, there are people who feel certain ways about certain people. And we shouldn't. We really shouldn't. But what I was going to go back to was when I was in first grade, I was the only Jewish kid, and I knew I was a little different. That's all we had. So I knew there was something different. And I didn't feel that people made fun of me for being Jewish ever. I didn't really feel like an outcast. But there was a black kid, Marvin Farr. We were the Jewish kid and the black kid. And we bonded a little bit because we were both kind of different. He was also a Jehovah's Witness, so he had no holidays. So like Christmas, we're like, we're good. But then when it was Hanukkah, I go, hey, he's like, no, sorry, I can't help you out there. Even though Trump isn't helping the poor backwards. Oh, I see. So what Bob is saying is the enemy of my enemy is my friend. No, the friend of my enemy is my, whatever. Enough with politics for the night. The bottom line is the country is really in a shitty place. And yes, why can't we all just be Americans? I completely agree. We should just be Americans first. Not American. That's not, see, again, now I'm going America first. What am I doing? We are all Americans, but we all have a heritage we come from. And I think that should be a really cool thing. And Trump is excited because his approval rating is the highest it's ever been. And we're in the largest pandemic in 100 years. We're going to lose more. We've already lost more people than were killed on 9/11. We're over triple that. And at 9/11, George W. Bush had about a 90% approval rating. Everyone was behind. I didn't like him. I never voted for him. I was 100% behind him. And when he made speeches and they said, "We can't hear you," and he said, "But I can hear you," he was doing a great job at that. He handled that well. When we went to the Iraq War, the first one, George Bush Sr. was at a 92% approval rating. And that war didn't affect that many people locally. I mean, there was obviously, people in the military that were hurt and killed, and people that had family members killed, but we didn't get attacked. That wasn't like 9/11. And this is kind of, we're being attacked and we're losing more people. And they're saying by the end of the month, we could lose more people than we lost in Vietnam and Korea combined. And he's a wartime president, and his approval rating still isn't a majority. So that says something. We're in a bad place where we can't rally behind him. And you can blame the media all you want. You can just listen to him too. But I think that, do I want him to fail? Absolutely not. I want him to succeed 100%. I said that the day he was elected, and people started ripping on me on Facebook about it. Like, what are you supporting? How can you say it? I go, he's the president. I want him. If he fails, we fail. And yes, the economy, he said, was great if you base it on the stock market. But was it? If the economy was so great, it wouldn't have fallen apart so fast. Wow, I got too political tonight. Sitcoms. Oh, here we go. Top 3 sitcoms of all time. You listed which one? You listed Seinfeld, The Office, and Happy Days. That's from Bob Larson. What are your favorite sitcoms? We're going a little over 7:30 mark tonight. That's okay. I talked a lot. I'm sorry. We should do a political show, a separate political show. My favorite sitcoms of all time, like I said, Seinfeld is without a doubt the best sitcom ever made. I Love Lucy is probably up there. Not one of my favorites of all time, but so many things that were revolutionary happened from I Love Lucy. It kind of set the entire sitcom world. The 4-camera shoot was them, the three or 4 camera. Reruns, Desi Arnaz basically invented. A lot of things they invented. So Seinfeld, number 1. I love WKRP in Cincinnati. Loved it. If Curb Your Enthusiasm is considered a sitcom, I would probably make it my number 2. Charlotte is one of Becky's friends, and my friend too. She lives in Germany, but she's a very smart political Wunderkind. I don't know if that's German. It sounded good. So we may do a show together. She's in Germany. I'm here, and we'll talk politics. And it's interesting to see. You know how people think that the country looks better from the outside? She's actually in Germany. She sees how they really think about us. But she's an American living in Germany. Anyway, Welcome Back, Kotter, I thought was a great show. I don't know why. Why would you think it was bad, Bob? I think Welcome Back, Kotter is one of the best. Sanford and Son. I mean, wow, so much gold in that show. Current sitcoms, 2.5 Men. I thought they did a pretty good job. Chuck Lorre is a genius, in my opinion. I really like every sitcom he's done has been pretty good. And I'm not just saying it because my first job ever as an extra was on Dharma and Greg, which was also a Chuck Lorre show. No, it doesn't look better from the outside. It looks worse from the outside, Charlotte. I'm saying Trump acts like the country, we look so much better now that he's in charge. When Obama, everybody hated us all over the country. Everything he says, just take the opposite. That's the thing. I Love Lucy was great in its time. Seinfeld's one of the best. That's true, Mother. Honeymooners. And I think the Flintstones is a cartoon version of the Honeymooners, Bob Larson, because you've got Fred Flintstone, who's kind of like Norton, and then you've kind of got Barney Rubbles. Hey, Ralphie, baby. I think I was just doing Eddie Murphy doing it. Family Guy, is that considered a sitcom? One of the best shows in the history of shows that will ever be. Family Guy. There's so much depth in family, and I know that sounds crazy to say that it is like that, but I think that you have so many characters. Seth MacFarlane's a genius, in my opinion, and that's really what Josh wants to do. That's what Josh's goal is, to be, to write an animated show. And I keep telling him, you start writing it. You're 15. It's time. Hurry. Best show on Amazon Prime right now. I'm watching Fringe, which is actually on IMDb.com, IMDb TV, which is owned by Amazon. And there's commercials during it, which I hate. So I haven't watched it as much as I'd like to. Amazon Prime. Best show is Dan Rosenberg, Overexposed. If you haven't watched it, what are you waiting for? Please go watch. Not really the best show. Mrs. Maisel, probably, is one of the best shows on. I've been ignoring you on YouTube. Hello, YouTube people. My mom says The Loop. I've not watched that yet. I really liked Man in the High Castle. Really liked it. I thought it was. Oh, Man in the High Castle reminds me of, and if you can guess why, another great TV show about radio, News Radio. News Radio was a great TV show. That's another great sitcom. Yeah, Welcome Back, Kotter's writing was not good. I'll agree with that. It was Gabe Kaplan's kind of his, it was Gabe Kaplan's thing. It was his vehicle at the time. Gabe Kaplan, great comedian back in the day. And now he's a great poker player, apparently. Menza, have you ever played poker with him? Yeah, so that is, there are some shows that were great premises, but never got off the ground because the writing was horrible. And there's some shows that had great writing and never got off the ground because they just never got the exposure. I'll give you a good example. After Seinfeld, there's a show on ABC called It's Like You Know. And to me, it might have been better than Seinfeld had they had time to grow. And they didn't have time. I thought that show, Evan Handler, the bald guy that was in the show Californication, and he was in Sex and the City. He played Charlotte's husband, I think. He played a guy named Shrug, and that was the Kramer character. But they had Lisa Gray. Is that her name? Lisa Gray? Linda Gray? Lisa Gray. Yeah, Lisa Gray from Dirty Dancing. She was on it and was hysterical. I mean, so many great actors on the show, and it was a West Coast Seinfeld. It was a Seinfeld of LA, and it was written by a bunch of people that came from Seinfeld. That was a show that I thought great writing. Arrested Development, another great show that was underrated for a long time. All in the Family. Good point, Mike. All in the Family was awesome. Shut up there, meathead, huh? Archie. Let's see what else. Oh, it's scrolling up so fast. Yes. Man in the High Castle could have ended so much differently. I'm glad they ended it the way I'm glad they had a chance, like they knew they were done. Because I hate when a show, they do their fourth season and they don't know that it's the end of the road and they never get to finish. You never get that final episode. Fringe got the final episode, which was awesome. Timeless on NBC a couple seasons ago. They gave it a 2-hour movie to tie up all the loose ends. The show Revolution never got that. I'm worried Manifest won't get that. Manifest is a great show. But yeah, Man in the High Castle really ended weirdly. There was stuff that didn't make sense. So yeah, Man in the High Castle should have had a different ending. I completely agree. But up until that, I love the series. The Last OG on TBS, very good. I have not seen that, Bob Larson. I love Tracy Morgan. I'm Tracy Morgan. I love Tiffany Haddish. They're both awesome. It's Your Move with a teenage Justin Bateman. I do not. I remember Justin Bateman on Valerie, which then became the Hogans after Valerie Harper was fired. I do not remember It's Your Move. Jennifer Grey. What did I say? Lisa Grey. Yeah, Jennifer Grey. Thank you very much. Family Ties. Good call. Great show. What about Different Strokes? I interviewed Gary Coleman once, and his handler, I don't know who that was, his handler had a rule. He would not say, "What you talking about?" We could not make him say that, no matter what. And we had him do a liner for the show we were doing. It was my friend Pat Mellon and I. The show was called like Mellon and Dan or something. And we had him say, "For no one else would I say that famous catchphrase except for you." And he looks at us as he's reading it, and then he looks down and he goes, "Okay." And he said, "But for Mellon and Dan, I'll say it for you. Kiss my grits." It's pretty funny to have him say, a catchphrase from a different show. Alice, another good one. I'm going to have to check out The Last OG. You say it's on TBS. Angie Tribeca was a great show that a lot of people didn't know about. It was in the vein of Airplane and Police Squad. I've talked so much tonight. I was going to call it early. Let me scroll through, make sure I missed anybody. Oh, Brady Bunch, please. Can you? The Brady Bunch has so many weird. It's one of those things that I think it's stuck in everybody's brain. Like you can, I don't know if you can do this, but I can start anywhere in an episode, and I know I can say what episode it is. Oh, now I might not. I haven't watched it in years, but I used to be able to. Seinfeld's kind of the same way, where you can start it and you go, "Oh, this is the Joe Namath episode," or "Oh, this is the Davy Jones," or "This is the George Glass," or "This is the one where the UFO." Remember the UFO with a shower curtain and a flashlight and a kazoo? It's not going to really happen that way. Starred as steamy movie star. My tutor was Bateman's mom. I don't remember that show at all. I do remember a show vaguely with Michael Keaton and Jim Belushi. Were they like delivery drivers or something? That just popped in my head. It's weird how stuff will just suddenly pop in my head. Yes, oh my nose when the football hits her. Or every time I see people doing driving, like talking about how great a driver they are, I'm like, can I put a cone with an egg in front of it? And people get the reference. And how about Alice with her twin sister? And then Alice was gone for the episode, which is usually they do that. Like if Ann B. Davis needs a vacation, they're going to take and bring in like somebody to act as her for a while. And so she goes away and then someone else comes in, but they had Ann B. Davis playing the other character. And she blew a whistle. It made no sense. Fringe is amazing. Michael Keaton is from Pittsburgh, and his real name is Michael Douglas. Went to Keystone Oaks High School. And he had to change his name because there was already two. There was Mike Douglas and Michael Douglas. So he changed his name. Serenity Now and Merv Griffin set. Seinfeld has so much. There's so much in Seinfeld. And to talk about me for a second, when I wrote my sitcom, which my goal is sitcom by 50, and I know it's going to be hard because, the production's dead and nobody's investing in anything right now. But again, if anybody has $3.5 million sitting around, 10 episodes, we can pound them out like that. Rick Springfield plays my dad. Debbie Gibbons plays the dream girl. Fred Stoller plays my coworker, and then local, like a lot of local people. Chris Olivia playing Eric, who was there before. Balma Roger playing my worker, coworker boss. I'm going to read it at some point, and we're going to do a table read on the show. Anyway, I tried to make stuff similar to the way Seinfeld wrote the show, and there was a definite formula to Seinfeld in that, and I might have said this already, but who cares? In that Seinfeld might have been the first sitcom to have a C story and a D story. Most sitcoms have an A line and a B line. They have something that, Richie's doing something, and then there's a story with Fonzie doing something, or Mork is doing something, and then Mindy's father's doing something. Mork and Mindy, another great show. Laverne and Shirley, oh my God. Yes, Rick Springfield, I have actually talked to him. I'm talking to his management team. The man is 70 years old, and he looks like he's younger than me. So the story, the idea of the show is called Dan's Dad, and I came with the concept when he was 51, and I'm going to be 50 this year. So that's how long ago it was. And now he's 70, so 19 years ago. He plays my dad, and so he's hotter, better. Well, hotter is better looking, thinner, has a nice head of hair, and then there's me. But Tim, you're gonna like it. I work in a car dealership, so I'm gonna take all that humor from the car lot. So yeah, I'm going to read. I'm going to get the table read. I wonder if I could get Rick Springfield and Debbie Gibson to do the table read now, because they're just sitting in their house doing nothing. Maybe I could. By the way, Rick, I don't know if you saw it, but he's been doing these how to play Jesse's Girl in 60 seconds, and then they all screw up. I made an answer to it. So if you get a chance, watch one of those, because it's got like 6 views. His have a bunch more. But anyway, so Seinfeld had this formula that he and Larry David created where all 4 characters had their own storyline, and they intertwined them. And I don't know, maybe C lines, but I don't know of a sitcom that did D. They did A, B, C, and D stories. And then they started together usually, and they split apart. They came back together, they split apart, and they ended together. And the real secret, I think, to writing it, and I try to do this with my sitcom, is every episode ends with a punchline. Like, that's the joke of the episode, and then you have to figure out how to get there. So the 10 episodes, other than I do one to be continued, which is funny because the show would probably be a streaming show and you're just going to watch straight through. But I did one that's a 2-parter, and then the final episode is kind of a flashback, and it kind of explains a lot. So that one doesn't end with, it's kind of emotional. You might cry. You might drop one, might drop a tear. But yeah, actually there's a funny line, Tim Jones, in one of the episodes. We go back, and it's based on when I went back to my 30th reunion at Blackhawk. It was at the Patterson Township Fire Hall. And I thought, okay, well, if my dad was the same age as how I'm playing in the sitcom, he would be going back for his 50th. So we both go back for our reunions at the same time. And there's a lot of stuff that happens. But the joke that ties into Jesse's Girl is we're sitting in a restaurant at the hotel or in the hotel lobby having breakfast or something. And a woman's like looking at us, this older woman keeps looking at us, and she comes over and she goes, "I know you." And he goes, "Oh yes, Phil." I forget what he named her. Phyllis, yes. Oh my God, yes. You were friends with my mom. I'm like, "Oh, you knew Grandma Jess?" And she's like, "Yes. So you're her grandson, and you must be Jesse's boy." So I reversed it. Every episode, by the way, is titled either a Debbie Gibson song or a Rick Springfield song, but different. Like the first one's Out of the Orange. There's one called Jesse's Boy, one called Affair of the Art. Bob Larson, tons of movies. Yeah, well, I don't mind collaborating with people. That would be awesome. So yeah, I'm going to hopefully get the table read of those. I've got a long list of all the stuff that I said I would do if I ever was stuck at home for a long period of time. Who knew it would actually happen? The schmuck stuff I'm putting out now, the Cushy Ripple stuff will come out. I've got my old radio show. I've got a stack of CDs like this big of the radio show I did in Los Angeles about the car business. And I might put those all up as podcasts. I have to edit out the commercials, I think. I haven't listened to them in forever. But it's weird to hear commercials from 2007 and 2008 in Los Angeles. And then the other one I did from 9 to 13. So I got tons of radio that I could put out too. All right. Well, this show really went long. We're at 54 minutes. You guys raw. I mean, I can't believe, as long as, again, it's you. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to end the show in 6 minutes. So anything else you guys want to put up, put it in the comments now. We will get it in there. Let me scroll back, make sure I didn't miss anything. Little Jerry was a great show. The opera, the Pez dispenser. What's amazing, Jerry dated a different girl every single episode. I don't know if you noticed that. He had a few that went over, but typically Malva. Typically, it was a different somebody every episode, a new person. And same with George, other than when he got engaged to Susan, which was a great story arc. I mean, George Steinbrenner, Costanza, which was Larry David. Larry David shows up, I think, 2 or 3 times. As you can see his face. And I don't know if you heard the story about they actually got George Steinbrenner to come to LA to do an episode, and it was so bad they couldn't use it, and like everybody was afraid to tell him. And I have to look that up. I'm not sure what exactly happened. So Susan, Kevin, woot woot, good night. Please, Kevin, if you're going to be on Cars and Coffee on Thursday, that would be nice. We missed you this past Thursday. Also, there's a 2020 Corvette on the island. I noticed somebody posted pictures today. No one knows whose it is. There's a red 2020. The new mid-engine Corvette is here. Somebody has one. I don't think it's anybody in our group. So, yeah. Anything else you guys want to talk about while we have our final 4 minutes of the show this evening? Please jump in. And if I offended anybody with my saying everybody's a little racist or a little bigoted, I apologize. I don't mean to offend. Everybody's a little stereotypical. Maybe that's a good thing to point out. Until you know people. And then once you know them, it's definitely not anyone in the group. That's crazy. That Corvette's not somebody. I've been looking I haven't looked at the email lately, but I know a few guys had them on order. And we had one on tread.com down in Florida, a white one. Guy wanted $95,000 for it. A little too much. So yeah, if I offend anyone tonight, of course I do apologize. I'm not trying to be offensive. And my brother made the perfect point. We're all Americans and we should just be Americans. We should not be, I don't think the political party system sucks. It really does. Because most of it, like I said, the 80% of the country want the same exact thing. And you've got your far left, your far right. You got your left media, your right media, and you do have media that's down the middle, I think. Is MSNBC far to the left? Yes. Is CNN? They've been pushed that way. They used to be kind of the middle. But when you look at regular broadcasts, CBS, NBC, ABC, that's pretty non-political. NPR, people think is very liberal. There's a lot of facts involved in it. A lot of facts involved. Rick Springfield was on the ABC Pandemic Show at 12:50 today. He did one of his songs. Yeah, he's got Human Touch. Now his song is We Don't Need the Human Touch, which is pretty funny. He's talking about don't touch. But his whole song is about touch. And when he does that song in concert, he's in the audience, he's walking around, everybody's touching him. And I hope that all comes back, that we can go to concerts again. If you have never seen him in concert, by the way, hands down, one of the best. Kevin knows. He was there. It's a great concert. And I'll put stuff up. Shannon, I just saw popped in. Shannon's doing the table read with us when we do the sitcom. I hope. I have someone I'm trying to get to be the narrator and director, Shannon, and I'll ask you about it later because I think you're closer to her than I am. You might know who it is by me saying her. Someone who actually has directed sitcoms in the real world and been on one. You probably know what I'm talking about. Anyway, we have a minute left. Thank you all for watching tonight. Thank you for watching every night. It is fun to do this. My cousin Julie just popped in. She must think we're still doing the show today. Hi, Julie. Good to see you. Show's at 7 now, and it should have ended at 7:30. But I couldn't stop talking. Just couldn't stop. I guess I couldn't stop. How can you direct from all the way over there, Charlotte? I'll private message you who I really have, someone that lives on the island that I think I would love to have direct. You haven't directed sitcoms. This person that I have, I mean, you could probably do the table read if this person wouldn't, but this person is, that's okay. Julie, I'll stick around for a few more minutes. The person that I have in mind was on a famous sitcom, and thanks, Bill, was on a famous sitcom many years ago and has directed sitcoms and was in a major motion picture and lives on the island and is a friend of the family. And Skype, is that the German version of Skype? I don't know. I've ever heard of Skype. Now's the time on Sprockets when we dance. I almost wore a turtleneck today just for that. But yeah, so I think that it'll be a fun thing to do the sitcom on Zoom or Skype or Google Meet and do it as a table read. It would be great if I could get Rick Springfield, Debbie Gibson, and Fred Stoller. I know I could get Fred Stoller because we're actually personal friends. Like I know Fred, and I flew him up here to do a gig not too long ago. But I would love it if we could get them to do it for sure. I do have a goal. I've got to get the sitcom by August 20. Oh, it's Skype. Okay, I know. I was joking. Charlotte. I figured it was Skype. But yeah, I do have a goal to get a sitcom by the time I turn 50. So I have till August 28th to do that. So wish me luck. It's already been written. 10 episodes, ready to go. I've actually spoken to Debbie Gibson's management, Rick Springfield's management. The bottom line is this: money. It's all they need. They're in if the money's right. Am I off sync? Huh, that's weird. Maybe I'm doing that on purpose. Maybe it's a new talent I learned that I can talk without my mouth moving. Might just be the internet. I'm really leaning forward a lot, I notice. I'm going to turn off the YouTube now. Thank you, YouTube, for watching. Goodbye, YouTube. And I have to end it.